the Toronto Raptors are in desperate need of a new center, so they have turned their interest towards Tristan Thompson. In this video, we're going to look over if this is a good move for the Toronto franchise. Let's get into it. What is up, Raptors fans? Welcome to Amateur Hour Sports. This is the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors. We do a ton of videos, we do a ton of live stream watch-alongs. So if you like what you see from today's video and you want more of myself talking about the Raptors in content just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support to the channel as we look to hit 2.3K subs on our road to 3,000 subscribers. The Toronto Raptors are on a really awful stretch of games. They've lost 8 in a row, and one of the most telling things about this stretch is a trade needs to happen, and the trade deadline is just a few days away now, and the Toronto Raptors have gone through this entire season, this entire just tumultuous, stressful, awful, frustrating season without having made a trade as of yet. Not a single trade, and it's so difficult to process this because Masai Ujiri is usually the guy who's on top of these things, usually the guy who comes out winning a lot of trades and has yet to make a trade yet. Maybe he just hasn't seen one that wasn't just a panic trade, something to solidify in the short term, wasn't good for the long term, so he hasn't pulled the trigger on anything. But judging by what I've seen over the last few games with the Raptors, even with players back, even understanding they will need time to recover from the health and safety protocol, missing 2 weeks of basketball, the Raptors are still not good enough right now, and they are well out of the playoff picture. What are they, the 11th seed at this point? A trade most certainly needs to happen for the Toronto Raptors. Like, even just to shake things up, I would be very disappointed in our front office after the horrible offseason that they had. I'm going to forgive them. Of course, they've done a lot of great things for this franchise over the last decade, but after the horrible offseasons that we endured as a Toronto Raptors fan, the most recent offseason, and still not making a trade to improve this team, I would be bitterly disappointed if we went through the March 25th deadline having not made a move. And the most glaring thing over this losing streak for the Raptors is they need a center. Aaron Baines was signed in the offseason to replace Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol, and it's safe to say that that acquisition did not work out. Aaron Baines is underwhelmed for his position, isn't a good enough rebounder, isn't sure enough at the rim on offense to get himself his points, and has just lacked a lot of the skill set that Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol produce. Obviously, Aaron Baines is neither Serge Ibaka or Marc Gasol. It's just disappointing because Aaron Baines has slightly underwhelmed from what we were expecting based off of his terrific last season with the Phoenix Suns. So the Raptors, who really do need a center, have turned their attention towards the Celtics center, Tristan Thompson, the Canadian, the Toronto-born, Brampton-raised Canadian. Tristan Thompson, the former NBA champion with the Cleveland Cavaliers, is on the radar. And this is one of my most requested videos. A lot of you said to me in the live streams, in the comments of my YouTube videos, and you talked about whether the Raptors should get Tristan Thompson, how I should make a video about the Raptors acquiring Tristan Thompson. Now, on the surface, this looks great for the Raptors because, again, they are in dire need of a new center, one who can actually rebound the ball, because every time we go up against a team with a solid big on the other end, like the Cavaliers or like the Utah Jazz, we get out-rebounded to oblivion, which just leads to so many extra possessions for the other team and is part of our demise. Now, the game against the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday, nothing was going to save the Raptors today. They were abysmal. They were horrendous in the game, and a big wouldn't have saved them. But in other games, I think that sure-up rebounder and the guy who can, actually solidly defend the paint for us is what is needed for the Raptors. Tristan Thompson is a guy who's averaging about 7 points and 8 rebounds with the Celtics, has a bit of a regressed role compared to his role with the Cavaliers in the previous 2 seasons before this current season. The Celtics also have guys like Robert Williams who do need a lot of time at center, so Tristan Thompson's stats naturally have decreased a little bit. But in his final 2 seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers, averaged a double-double, just over 10 rebounds plus 11 and 12 points in the respective seasons. This guy is good enough to run the center spot for the Raptors, would provide some much-needed sure-up finishing at the rim and some much-needed rebounding for the Toronto Raptors. Aaron Baines was never a great rebounder to begin with the Phoenix Suns, and it's really showing here. And it's kind of unnecessary to ask Aaron Baines to do all of these things for the Raptors on his own. It's a little bit too much to ask him. I think Aaron Baines is a fine backup big. I think the Raptors maybe are paying him a little too much to be that backup big, but we could add in a guy like Tristan Thompson to just solidify that center position. Now, the one problem I see with Tristan Thompson as the player is Tristan Thompson makes quite a bit of money. He's going to be making $9.2 million this year. Next season, he's going to be making $9.7 million. So you'd be tied up into a contract that's a little bit too expensive for what you get in the player in Tristan Thompson. So the Raptors would have to decide if that is the best way to go about the business. And the fact that he makes $9.2 million means that you can't just trade away a salary filler to make this deal happen. You're actually going to have to give away some money in order to make this deal happen. And the most logical thing for me to make up the money here is trading Aaron Baines and getting Baines back to the Boston Celtics. Aaron Baines makes about $6 or $7 million. So trade away Aaron Baines, maybe also give them Terrence Davis in a second-round pick. That might be enough to get this trade through. That's probably what the trade would have to be to balance out salaries and make the Boston Celtics happy with this deal. Now, another thing to consider is this is the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics and the Toronto Raptors are not exactly friends in the NBA trade market. Why would the Boston Celtics want to actively seek to improve one of their main rivals in the Eastern Conference? Now, judging by the Raptors being at 17 and 25, they aren't exactly a direct rival with the Celtics at this present moment. But knowing that, hopefully, when the Raptors are back in playoff positions, whether it be this season, whether it be next season, whether it be down the road, this could be a potential rivalry. And would the Boston Celtics want to actually strengthen the Toronto Raptors is also a question that would need to be answered. So, looking at this, Tristan Thompson is a fantastic player to bring in for the Raptors because his rebounding is very good. He can average a double-double if he's given like 30 minutes per game, which he was in his final two seasons with the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not that old yet, just hit 30 years old, so not that old yet. That's something you can work with in the center position, especially for the rest of his contract this year and next year. Can get you 12 points per game on offense, is a much better finisher at the rim than Aaron Baines, would honestly provide a lot for the Raptors in the starting spot. But you have to take into consideration he is on a pretty hefty contract, making $9 million a year, 9.2 this year, 9.7 next year. That is a bit pricey. I would rather probably go for an expiring contract for the Raptors. You don't know exactly what you can get out of Tristan Thompson. The Celtics, I know a lot of Celtics fans haven't been completely thrilled with his performances, and you'd have to pay up to get him to match salaries and also pry him away from a direct rival in the Eastern Conference. So I think Aaron Baines and Terrence Davis going to the Celtics may be enough to get this done. That's not a package I would be terribly upset with giving the Boston Celtics. Personally, I would rather keep Aaron Baines as a backup because we can't only have one true center on the roster. I think we would need two actual centers for the Toronto Raptors to be successful over the rest of this season. So personally, I would go for a cheaper option. Overall, this deal kind of makes sense for the Raptors, but I think when you consider the other bigs that are available for trade, the Raptors should stick to something cheaper. Like, I will reiterate, I say this, I think in every video, I think I say this in every live stream. JaVale McGee is a guy that I would 100% believe the Cleveland Cavaliers would part ways with. JaVale McGee is on a very cheap, expiring contract. He is only here for the rest of the season on his current deal. You can give away a salary filler like Patrick McCaw and a second-round pick to the Cavaliers, and I think they would be willing to let go of JaVale McGee. And we saw last night what JaVale McGee can do on the interior. A very good rebounder, very much better than Aaron Baines at finishing at the rim. Have JaVale McGee as your starting big, can hold his own on defense. That makes the most sense to me for the Raptors to get done in the next few days. Would 100% shore up that center position. Would alleviate the need for Pascal Siakam and OG Anunoby to continuously play as the 5. This makes a ton of sense. Go after a cheaper option like JaVale McGee or Hassan Whiteside or Mo Bamba or Rashawn Holmes. The list goes on and on. Go for these guys who are on cheap contracts. All you have to trade is a salary filler plus a second-round pick to bring them in. They do the job they need to do in terms of rebounding, in terms of finishing at the rim. That's all we really need from this trade. If we are to acquire center, that's all we really need. A guy who can get rebounds, who can play solid defense in the paint, and finish at the rim. Aaron Baines is not a guy we can rely on to do that, and there are a lot of guys who are cheaper than Tristan Thompson who do not play for a direct rival who can provide that role for the Raptors. So in my opinion, yes, trading for Tristan Thompson does make a bit of sense for the Raptors, but when you consider the fact that he's on a 2-year contract, when he's making $9 million a year, when you consider these aspects and the fact that he plays for a rival, you're going to have to pay up in order to acquire him. When you consider these things, you look at other players in the league who can provide a similar role to Tristan Thompson, but aren't on the big contract, aren't on the rival who you have to trade for. So what makes absolute sense to me for the Toronto Raptors is JaVale McGee or Hassan Whiteside or Mo Bamba. Something along the lines of that, something very cheap, just somebody who you can rely on to get rebounds and finish at the rim. It's pretty simple. The Raptors don't need anything flashy from any of these trades coming up to the deadline. Really, all they need is that true center, something we have really been missing. I understand that when you trade for a true center, you got to go through the process again of tailoring them towards your team, but I think it would be absolutely worth it. Something needs to happen for this Toronto Raptors team. This roster is not equipped enough in the center spot to do anything this season, to achieve anything this season. Something has got to happen. I really hope that Masai Ujiri and Bobby Webster are making those phone calls, trying to make something happen for the Toronto Raptors in the center department, and I think just trading for a cheap center is what is needed for this franchise. I honestly grow more and more scared every day that the Toronto Raptors are going to let this trade deadline pass us by, and we're not going to do anything before this deadline happens. The Raptors will go this entire season without making a trade. I would be very frustrated with that because, again, this team is in dire need of a trade to happen. I think that the best course of action for the next 3 days, what would make me happy is trading for a center. What would make me very happy is trading for a center and also making another big trade to consider the future, like flipping Kyle Lowry to the Miami Heat for a package around Tyler Hero, or flipping Kyle Lowry to the Philadelphia 76ers for a package. Danny Green, Mike Scott, Matisse Thybulle, and Tyrese Maxey. Get something for Lowry. It is very evident we can't keep Lowry and Norm beyond this season. One of them is going to have to go in the offseason. I would rather sign Norman Powell. So if one of them is going to go, you have to get something for them now. Don't let them walk away for free. We do that way too often now. Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, Marc Gasol, and Serge Ibaka all walk for free from our championship roster. We can't watch another member of that roster just leave for nothing. Have to get something for these players. Have to prepare us for the future with prospects, with picks in this little bit of a soft rebuild that the Raptors are putting together. So what do you guys make of these trade rumors? What do you make of the Tristan Thompson trade situation? Do you think that this is a great move for the Raptors, a bad move for the Raptors? Who do you think the Raptors should trade for? Let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. But that wraps up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video if you like, and subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports for more content just like this. We do a ton of videos. We're going to have videos coming out as we look towards the trade deadline, and we also do live streams like the one we're doing tonight for the watch along against the Houston Rockets, the battle of the losing streaks. Toronto on an 8-game losing streak versus the Houston Rockets on the 20-game losing streak. Who will come out on top? I think the Raptors are finally going to end the losing streak tonight. Join me for the watch along at 8:45 p.m. Eastern Time right here on this channel. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.